Welcome to the Young CEO Mastermind Call. We have these every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host. My name is Andre Kennedy, aka Free Play Dre, and we are back at you guys once again with another live update. We've been doing these for the last year. It's been a year since we've been doing this. Actually, we started in August, so almost a year. Anyways, just tapping in with you guys once again to go over some valuable information. As of recently, I want to talk to you guys today about authorized user trade lines. Why? Because as of recently, a lot of my students have been getting major increases from purchasing authorized user trade lines. Okay. So if you are not familiar with an authorized user trade line, an authorized user trade line is simply this. It is a trade line, right? So a credit card or an auto loan or any sort of lending product that reports to your credit is considered a trade line. Okay, so you have auto trade lines, you have mortgage trade lines, right? Those are considered trade lines. Okay, but today we're specifically talking about credit cards. Okay, credit cards are something that can be a tool in which you can use to build or boost another individual's credit. Okay, hence the term authorized user trade lines. Okay, so how does this work? I'm going to explain it to you very short and brief, so make sure you guys are paying attention. Okay, and make sure you guys leave a like on this video because today you guys are learning the value and why it's important to potentially get an authorized user trade line. And not only are you going to learn about them, but you guys are also going to get access to an authorized user trade line from watching this video. Okay, so stay tuned till the end to see how you can get your own authorized user trade line. Okay, so an authorized user trade line, right? We talked about it being a lending product. Today, specifically, we're talking about credit cards. Okay, so how does a one individual become an authorized user on somebody's credit card? Okay. Well, we're going to use me as a live example. I myself have built up over $150,000 of credit capital. If you're not familiar with who I am a credit specialist. I do credit repair, and I also help you to strategically apply for specific credit cards to get the highest credit limit possible. And then we take that funding and we use it for investments like rental cars, real estate, machines, hence vending machines or ATM machines, and we invest into a lot of other business endeavors. Okay, so trade lines can be very useful. Okay, credit cards, aka credit cards. We're going to talk about credit cards and authorized user trade lines. Okay, so I myself have built up over $150,000 worth of capital, and during this process, I came across some valuable information, which is authorized user trade lines. Now, because I have took the time and built up my trade lines, right? Which is why I have $150,000 worth of credit capital, is strategically in 6-month intervals on my credit cards, such as my Capital One, my Navy Federal, my Discover, right? These are 3 credit cards that I started off with low limits on. Okay, you'll understand the backstory of why I'm telling you this in a moment. Okay, but I started off with these trade lines and I had a very low limit on these trade lines. Okay, but over time, I requested credit limit increases on each of these cards in 6-month intervals. Okay, 6 months is important because during that 6 months, I was demonstrating on-time payments. I was utilizing the card, well, overutilizing the card, but then I would pay it back in said time underneath 30 days. So I was never accruing interest, but I was making high balances and paying them off. Okay. And this was the process in order to demonstrate to the bank that, hey, I need a higher credit limit on these credit cards. Okay. So I ended up getting from $2,000 limits all the way up to $10,000 limits on these credit cards. Okay. Now, not only was I building the trade line and the amount of credit utilization that I had, but I was also building the credit age that the card had. Okay. Always keeping on-time payments and allowing it to age. Okay. These credit cards are 4, 5, 6 years old now. Okay. So what does that mean? That means these are very valuable trade lines. Okay. Typically, when you're adding somebody as an authorized user to your credit card, you want to add them to something that's going to boost their score. Okay. So this is what I was doing. I was building my trade lines. I was building multiple trade lines around the same time. So they would all age at the same time as well. So now I have 4, 5, 6 cards that are all maybe $10,000 limits and all 4 to 5 years old. Okay. What does that do for the person that is becoming the authorized user, right? Somebody that would purchase the trade line. Okay. This is what it's going to do. It's going to boost their credit score. Yes, that's a given. But why is it boosting their credit score? Because I have built the trade line limit, I have built the trade line age, and I have also kept on-time payments throughout the whole course of the term. Okay. So when I add somebody to my credit card as an authorized user, they receive those same exact benefits because the trade line will now report on their credit profile. Okay. So what does that mean? That means John, for instance. We're just going to use the name. I just picked it out of thin air. We're going to use that name as an example. Okay. John has no credit at all. Okay. He has not built any credit, but he does not have any derogatory marks either. Okay. So John is in a very neutral position. Okay. So John calls me up. He says, "Hey, I want to purchase a trade line," because he understands that these trade lines bring value to your credit profile. Okay, so John goes through, he makes his payment, and he becomes an authorized user on my trade line. Well, in order for me to add him as an authorized user, I need certain personal information. Okay, I need name, date of birth, address, and social. Okay, so that's very, very vital information that you don't want to just give to anybody out there on the World Wide Web. Okay, the www, whatever you guys want to call it, right? You don't want to just give that information to anybody. That's very sensitive information. Okay, but John here is one of my friends. He's seen me build my credit, he's seen the credibility that I've brought to the marketplace. He's been my friend. He's done business with me prior. Okay. So John understands that there's trust involved in our relationship. So he's willing to send me his personal information. Okay. Now, with this personal information, I can call my credit card company, right? Whether it be Discover, Capital One, or Navy Federal, and I can request to make him an authorized user on my credit card. Okay, so what does that mean? Typically, in a normal scenario or situation, he would get a second credit card issued to his household where he can then use a portion of my trade line and he would be able to make purchases. He would be able to get whatever perks are associated with my credit card, etc., etc. But we're doing this for the sole purpose of becoming an authorized user and receiving the benefit of having that report on his profile, not necessarily giving him access to the trade line. Okay. So, yes, it can be a very risky thing to do to add somebody as an authorized user to your profile. But if you go about it the right way, where you would issue the secondary card to yourself in your own household, and then you would cut that card up So he's not able to access the actual limit or the actual money and go out and spend money on whatever he chose to, because you don't want to just give money to any individual out there, especially a portion of your credit limit, because you are responsible for paying that back. Okay. But John just wants the benefit of it reporting on his credit profile. Awesome. Okay. So John understands that he will not get issued a card. Okay. So now I go into Navy Federal, Discover, or Capital One, like we had mentioned, and I give them a call and I say, hey, I'd like to add an authorized user to my credit card. His name is John. His date of birth is blah, blah, blah. His social security is blah, blah, blah. And his birthday is blah, 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 right? So we give them all his personal information. They say, okay, that's great, Andre. We are going to add him as an authorized user to your credit profile or to your credit card. Okay, awesome. So now we have secured our relationship, me and John, because I have provided him a service and he had purchased the service and gave the personal information which was needed to be able to add him. Okay, now John is going to be able to look at his credit score in the next minimum 30 days, and he's going to see a major increase. Why? Because he started off with nothing on his credit profile, but now my $10,000 trade line is going to report on John's profile. It's also going to report the credit age that was associated with that credit card. And it's also going to backdate for as long as I've had that credit card. So if I had the card for 5 years, John now has 5 years worth of credit history. John now has a $10,000 trade line reporting on his credit profile. John now has on-time payments for that past 5 years that I have built, but it is now showing on his credit profile. And that, my friends, is how an authorized user trade line works. Okay, so now John is in the 700 plus credit score range, and he's able to go out and apply for certain credit cards, and he's now able to get approved, as to where before he wasn't, because his profile wasn't old enough, he didn't have enough age. Not only is he able to get approvals, but he's now able to get approvals for higher limits on his credit cards. Okay, as to where I had to start out from the bottom and built my trade lines up. John here is getting approved for $5,000 limits, $10,000 limits right off the bat, because in the bank size, he has demonstrated that he can handle $10,000 worth of credit. And he's demonstrated that for 5 years, because that's the trade line that is reporting on his credit profile. Okay. So if you guys understand that, make sure you guys drop a like on this video, because I just introduced you to something that not many people really know about. Authorized user trade lines can be something very valuable when you're first starting out your credit profile, or even if you understand that this person that you're purchasing an authorized user trade line from is very good with managing their credit. And you might have high limits, but your limits might be maxed out. Okay. If myself offers a authorized user trade line to you, guess what? Now that's going to cut your balance in half compared to your overall amount of credit. Okay. And if you don't know, that's one of the major factors of your credit score is credit utilization. So if you have two credit cards that are $1,000 a piece, okay, so you only have a overall limit of $2,000, but both cards are maxed out at $1,000, that's 100% utilization. Okay, but if we go and add a $10,000 trade line to your original 1,000 and 1,000, now you have a total of $12,000 of capital. And if I myself am not utilizing my entire $10,000 credit limit, that available credit balance is now going to report on your credit profile, and it's going to look like you're using a lot less compared to what you actually have in total. Okay, so that's another great reason why you might want to get an authorized user trade line. not to mention the age and the on-time payments. Okay. So it's pretty much an average of what you have on your credit profile. So if you take all of the numbers and divide them by how many there is, that's going to give you roughly, where you're at. Okay. So if we go ahead and add a $10,000 trade line or a $20,000 trade line to your credit profile, you're going to see a major increase, just like all of our students have received as well. This is one of the benefits that you get when you become a young CEO is you get access to me and you build a relationship with me who has built trade lines to $20,000 to $10,000 where I am willing, because I understand the process and I understand the benefit of offering an authorized user trade line to you. And now you become a partner with me and you're able to start building your credit with a major jump start. Okay. This is what our parents didn't teach us. This is what a lot of our parents don't understand, right? If they were to add us as an authorized user to some of their trade lines that are in good standing, right? It's important to get a trade line that is in good standing. You don't want somebody who mismanages their credit because that will reflect on your credit profile as well. So you have to be strategic on who you're getting trade lines purchased from, or you might not even purchase them. Some people will just add you out of the kindness of their heart. Okay. I know me personally, I'll add my son once he turns of age, and I believe the age is 13 years old or older. I'll add him as an authorized user on my trade lines, and he'll get a head start being a young individual just learning about credit. Okay. So I want you guys to understand the power of becoming an authorized user. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, you will be able to get access to my authorized user trade lines. Those trade lines will be listed in the description below. So make sure you guys check that out. And if you have any further questions, make sure you guys visit dazzlu.com. I will tell you this. You do not want to purchase a trade line if you do not understand what an authorized user trade line is. Okay. A lot of you guys might be in a situation where you have bad credit. It all depends, okay, where you're at, because an authorized user trade line doesn't get rid of derogatory marks. That is something that you still need to attack by issuing out dispute letters to the major credit bureaus, okay, and sometimes even the creditor. So that is important. A trade line will not benefit you if you have 3 derogatory marks and you were defaulted on these accounts and now they're in collections and you're trying to rebuild your credit profile. That is not why you get an authorized user trade line. An authorized user trade line is more or less for the individuals who have 0 or no credit, or if they're just struggling with high balances, or if they might have like 1 or 2 late payments, because that on-time payment history from the authorized user trade line can help to negate those potential late payments that you might have on your credit profile and make it easier for you to get an approval with another bank. Okay. Also, what I've come to find out with authorized user trade lines is that when you add people to an authorized user or to a credit card from certain banks that they don't have prior relationship with, they can actually now have a relationship with the bank, and now they can get approvals without getting hard pulls. One of those banks would be American Express. Okay. American Express requires you to have one card, and after you get that one hard inquiry on your credit profile, the rest of the credit applications from American Express are soft pulls. Okay, so that means they don't hard pull your credit anymore. If you become an authorized user on a American Express user's trade line, now you're getting access into the ecosystem where they're able to visualize your credit profile, and you're able to get new credit cards from American Express with a soft credit inquiry. That is a major hack for you guys that stayed till the end of the video. For everyone who is watching right now, like I said, you can purchase an authorized user trade line. from the link in the description below. Also, there'll be a link for credit repair. So if you are dealing with that issue, make sure you guys check out our dazzlu.com website where you guys can get access to credit repair. And as my one and only disclaimer for this video, you should never take advice from any random person on YouTube. Always do your own due diligence, and this information is for educational purposes only. Do not take anything that I say to heart or seriously. Okay. So with that being said, that was my disclaimer. I hope you guys have a blessed evening. I hope you guys got some value. I hope you guys understand what authorized user trade lines are from the gist of this video. And I hope you understand that you now have access to somebody that is willing to offer you a authorized user trade line. So if you couldn't get it from mom, auntie, uncle, or grandma, I'm here to help you guys out. Welcome to the Young CEO community. I hope to see you guys inside our one and only group chat where we discuss all things credit. And without further ado, you all have a blessed night. I'll see you on the next live session where we go over all things credit. Talk to you soon, every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that being said, I'm out. Peace.